Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. I am of course Force, your bartending, StarCraft 2 commentating, strategy giving, Diablo 3 updating, all around cool guy. How you doing? Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a game between Root QXC, our purple Terran player, and ATN's Socke, the blue Protoss. So this is a Terran versus Protoss here on Jungle Basin. Let's talk about the map really quickly before we get into the match. Natural expansion, fairly safe to move to. You do of course have to watch these destructible rocks, and then over here pay attention to any possible air harassment. Of course it is the same mirrored on both sides, but beyond that first natural expansion inside of your main base, it gets a little bit difficult. Grabbing this central location is tough to defend because of these numerous entrances, and again on both sides all these maps are mirrored, so that's what you can expect. And then at these far reaching expansions to the far left and right here, those of course are difficult to expand because again there are just wide openings into the bases. So beyond this first natural expansion, it just becomes very difficult, very hard to expand. Now what does this mean? Basically this means whoever can maintain map control and hold the center of the map, and the one who's able to expand to the center, has a huge economic advantage, and as such they have a much better chance of winning the game. And that's how this game plays out. That the person with the economic advantage is likely to be the victor because they can afford more units, they can afford more upgrades, everything of the sort. Now before we get too far into things, I did just want to make a quick little note. You can expect a strategy video from me today. I know it's been pretty much solely commentary for the last few days. I do want to let you know the reason behind that is because of the fact that I have recently moved. I haven't really had time to sit down and work through a strategy video for you guys. It does take much more work than a regular commentary does. So that's basically been the reason behind it. But now that things have kind of been a little less hectic and things have settled down a bit, I'm going to be able to do that for you. So yeah, expect a strategy video today on top of this commentary. And both scouts going to be moving in opposite directions, so not catching each other. Our little friend here, the Urstock calf, likes to join the fun. Look how excited he is, so happy. And yeah, going to be scouting Socke's base. QXC's SCV is going to be able to move around pretty freely until that first Stalker comes out, or a Sentry. But until then, he doesn't really have to worry. That Zealot can't chase him down. You can see that Zealot on the way out. However, the probe of Socke does have to worry about this Marine. Marine's going to be microing, trying to take out and do as much damage as possible to the probe, but the probe does manage to escape Marine, being a Marine at heart, and he's not going to give up until he chases down and destroys that probe. Going to chase him down, see if he can catch up to him, although you can see just a little bit out of the range there. And then the probe decides to take a break, taking a detour at the Xel'Naga Tower. That is not what you want to do when a Marine is on your tail, and he dies. Come on, probe, where did you learn to fight against Marines? You don't kind of just chill out when a Marine's on your tail. You run, run, run. And the QXC's SCV, fully aware of the fact that we are seeing something other than a Zealot coming out of this gateway, it is in fact a Sentry, is deciding it's time to vacate the base. But first he does want to check that expansion to look for a quick expand. Now finally deciding to leave the base. And over here for QXC, we are seeing a Marauder coming out, one already on the board, going to be moving forward, and also seeing that concussive shell, so likely to be seeing some early aggression. Luckily though, with this early Sentry, Socke should have just enough energy to force field the ramp and be able to defend himself pretty much no problem. And it looks like, what's this probe doing? We are seeing an expansion right now from Socke, so Socke deciding to wait until that SCV leaves, which of course is the wise decision, and then dropping down that expansion. Now if he can manage to defend this early push and get up that expansion safely, he's going to be a huge advantage economically, and that basically means that he's going to be much better off than his opponent. We are seeing two Marines and a Marauder right here, and that SCV, also that additional Marauder going to be pushing forward, so trying to do some early aggression. And what are we going to see here? Pretty even matchup thus far. SCV moving up, trying to get a good idea of what's going on, deciding to pull back. Looks like that Stalker's trying to chase down that SCV, but going to get repelled by this Marauder. A couple shots going down on the Stalker. The Stalker turns around and shoots the Marine. That poor Marine, he didn't do a single thing. It was all the Marauder's fault, and he's the one who gets blamed and shot in the face. He is not too thrilled about that. Probably wants to beat up his Marauder buddy right now. QXC getting the factory down, as well as an additional barracks right now, so QXC deciding to continue to play off one base. And this could be a little dangerous. Again, Socke does have this expansion up. If he can defend against these early pushes, get this expansion saturated, he's going to be at quite a huge advantage. QXC essentially has to do something to do some damage to Socke's economy. Otherwise, again, he's just going to fall way too far behind without getting that expansion yet. QXC is scouting the edge of his base. He wants to see for any proxy pylons. That is, of course, the reason behind that. Starport on its way in right now, as well as additional barracks. We might be seeing some dropping going down, a reactor going down right now on this factory as well. Whether or not he's going to use that for Hellions or swap it out for medevacs or Marines, not quite sure at the moment, but we'll see as soon as he makes that swap decision. Continuing to come out with Marauders. Stimpack just about finished. It finishes right now. Also that first medevac on its way out at the moment. Back here inside of Socke's base, we are seeing an observer come out, wants to get a good idea of what QXC is doing. Warp Gate research has of course finished, so he's going to be able to start to utilize that. And here we go, that expansion starting to get saturated, and this is the point where QXC basically needs to do something. He needs to cause some sort of damage to his opponent. Otherwise, like I said earlier, he's just going to fall way too far behind. Having full vision of the Xel'Naga Tower, but with two buddies instead of just one of these guys should definitely go over here, but maybe the SCV is just a little scared being at 1 HP and all. Observer going to be moving out right now for Socke. Not sure if he's going to be able to catch this group of QXC's units going to be moving into his base en route. We'll see in a minute. Is he going to be able to do it? I think he will. So Socke's going to be fully aware. There we go. Observer moving right over QXC's units. Socke is fully aware of this push coming. As such, having units at the front of his base to help defend. Moving some guys over here because he is worried about that drop and seeing that medevac. He doesn't want to get any drop in the back of his base, but still leaving his front completely undefended. Well, not completely. He does have this sentry here, but that sentry might get sniped down. This is a very dangerous position for him. Sentry moving forward. Two Marauders dropping Stimpack. Moving into the base. One Marauder, one Brave Soul. Marauder from the low ground going to be shooting, and they do take out that sentry. So sentry is down. One, however, is over here. He might want to move that forward to be able to block off the ramp. Drop trying to go down over here. Microing, excellent job of keeping this Marauder safe. Not a single Marauder took damage. So great job by QXC there of dropping down and picking back up those Marauders basically to just get some free shots. Unfortunately, he didn't do anything other than shield damage. Didn't do actually any life damage to those Zealots, so that's unfortunate. Stim going down, going to make quick work of the Stalker right here. Also going to drop down that sentry. Should be able to take out that pylon, but no, deciding to retreat instead. Reinforcement units being streamed out right now for QXC. Still maintaining control of the Xel'Naga Tower. Would be nice to have these units in battle, though. Doesn't need all those guys at the Xel'Naga. Not quite sure why he's decided to leave all of them here there, because he could definitely utilize those in this position. Immortal out right now for Socke. We're seeing some upgrades come in as well for QXC. Combat Shield, a few Marines, another medevac, and an engineering bay going down. Also this expansion, so QXC finally getting up an expansion. Little engagement going down. Guardian Shield, Force Fields going down, trying to chop down QXC's units in half, but no. QXC doing a good job of microing away from those Zealots. Going to stay away from all of that Zealot damage. Now they're probably going to be target firing. Yes, target firing down the most dangerous threats, basically. Starting off with that Immortal, then moving on to the Stalkers, trying to take out whatever does the most damage to the units. Of course, that Immortal was threat number one. The amount of damage that it does to Marauders is absolutely redonkulous. And here we are starting to see that economic advantage take place with the fact that Socke was able to get up that expansion much quicker than his opponent. He could afford this higher tech, and we are seeing Colossus come out now. Although QXC does have this expansion up again, it was just much later than his opponent. Look at this, QXC having a scout of his opponent's back base with this factory over here. Going to continue to push forward with these Marines and Marauders. At this point, though, he's definitely at a huge disadvantage because, again, he got that expansion up way too late in comparison to his opponent. Going to be pushing forward, trying to do some damage. Going to micro away from those Zealots is exactly what he wants to do, so good job there. Force field going down, accomplishing absolutely nothing, unfortunately. Colossus finally coming into the fight, so QXC now is aware of the fact that Colossus are on the board, and he does have to be very wary of that. Going to try to push forward, but again, that Colossus is definitely going to be able to repel him, taking out just so much damage to the Marines, as Colossus are absolutely ridiculous against Marines. Not so effective against Marauders, but not terrible either. Going to be dropping into the back of Socke's base. QXC is dropping down a few Marauders and Marine. Going to try to pick off some workers. Colossus being very brave and engaging. Going to see a stim pack, hopefully, from QXC. Try to snipe down the Colossus. Very low. Stim pack going down, moving forward. Just a couple more shots on the Colossus. And there we go. Colossus does drop. However, another one does move forward to engage. And that Marauder is swept up very quickly. Medevac getting out of the way, trying to save its life. Few guys hanging out at the front of Socke's base. They could have been much more effective inside of the base, but they decided they were on break. They didn't feel like working. Some more units being streamed out to the center of the map for QXC. QXC is definitely in a not strong position right now against Socke because of the fact that Colossus are on the board. He needs to get something to deal with that, or he needs to continue up drop harass. One of those two things needs to happen. Feeling a little backed in the corner, he does decide to pull back his units. He knows this Colossus is chasing him down, and he is a little threatened by justify that. So that's exactly why we're seeing him pull back over here. Back inside of his base, we are seeing an upgrade to that Mobius reactor. Also getting a couple more Marauders, getting some more tech labs down here, so some more barracks are out as well. But yeah, he's got to be feeling like he's in a little bit of a tough position. Ghost coming out right now for QXC, so going to be looking to drop some EMPs. We are getting some more Colossus as well as weapons level 1 upgrades from Socke. And Socke expanding to the center. This is what I mentioned earlier. If you can control the center of the map and protect your economy, you're going to be in a really strong position. So Socke looking to be in the lead right now, and it all goes back to the fact that there was that early expansion from him. What do we have going on over here? Looks like a drop's going to be making its way around the mini-map and then dropping probably in the back of Socke's main. That is likely what we are going to be seeing here, trying to avoid all these units in the front of the and the center of the map. 2 bunkers going down, so QXC feeling a little bit on edge, feeling like he might need to defend himself against a push, and that's exactly why we're seeing these bunkers down. This is also going to help protect him against a counter when this drop happens. And here we go, drop going down right now for QXC. Going to try to pick off some probes at his main target, trying to do as much, again, economic damage as possible. The more you can hurt his economy, the better off you are. Colossus moving forward, however, he does have to worry about that, and look at the amount of damage it does to those Marines. Again, Colossus absolutely shredding Marines. Going to be forced to lift off and move that medevac. Worried about stalker fire. He wants to get into some safe air corner over here, taking a few shots, one more shot, and yes, the medevac does go down. Any more drops coming? No, I don't believe so. F you, medevac nerf. Yeah, QXC isn't too happy about that. The speed basically of the medevacs was nerfed not too long ago. Very frustrating for any Terran player who does like to drop, and Socke giving him a little, was that less than 3 sign, a little heart action over there. That's very cute. So expansion up for Socke, and again, this is going to be a huge problem for QXC. He needs to expand himself, or he needs to do some damage, and I don't think it's going to happen. Going to be pushing forward, trying to do some damage. Those Vikings getting target fire down. The Vikings, of course, meant to target fire the Colossus. That's why they were built. That was their purpose. Trying to get down this Colossus very, very close. Engagement's going down to 1 Colossus. The Marauders and Marines continuing to take out and make quick work of these Stalkers, and wow, the Vikings, great micro from QXC, taking out those Colossus and then using his Marines and Marauders to make quick work of the gateway units, and he might be able to do a lot of damage right here. This is going to be very close. Zealot's trying to move forward, but again, with the great micro of QXC, he's able to stay away from those. As long as they don't have charge, pretty much no problem. He can kite them all day. Where those Vikings go? Move forward, Vikings. We need you to take out that Colossus. Vikings, do something, please. I beg of you. Take that Colossus out as quickly as possible. It is going down very quickly. Still a few Vikings back there. What are they doing? Too many people for QXC taking breaks this fight. It is not break time. You must work. Now is not the time for break. You can break after we have controlled the Jungle Basin. Going to be trying to do as much economic damage as possible, taking out a lot of these probes. Medevac's doing a good job of healing those units up. Vikings getting target fired by those Stalkers. Stalkers finally having blink. That's going to make target firing those Vikings much more difficult. He's going to be able to snipe down those Vikings, and target firing those Colossus is going to be much more difficult for QXC because of that. You can see how quickly that was sniped down, so that's obviously an issue. But the fact that QXC, with great micro and using his Vikings properly to take out the Colossus, he was able to take out the center expansion, and that is absolutely huge. It cannot be understated how much of an advantage that is. Losing an expansion at this high level of play is really devastating. It usually doesn't matter as much. It obviously does still affect the game, but players don't find it as much of a hindrance in most normal ladder games. But in these high levels of play, if you lose an expansion, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to be very far behind for quite some time of your opponent. Basically, what needs to happen right now is Socke needs to attack. He needs to take out this expansion. If he doesn't, then he's going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Knowing that, going to be seeing a planetary fortress come down in an attempt to defend his expansion, and Socke dropping down that additional nexus. I'm not sure how this is going to work out, though. Blink Stalkers moving forward. Lots of fire coming from those Colossus. You can see that thermal lance at work right there. However, these Vikings moving forward, taking out the Colossus pretty much no problem, and that could be it. Losing those forces right here. He's going to lose that expansion as well. Socke does call good game. End of the game. Good game between these two players. Really awesome stuff. You saw basically what I mentioned at the beginning of the match, that whoever manages to maintain map control of the center of the map is going to be the one who wins the game, and Socke just does call a good game because after losing those forces and seeing all of the remaining forces of QXC, he realized, I don't have enough to defend. My expansion's going to be killed again, and QXC does have an expansion up himself, so he was just way too far behind. Socke knew it was the end of the game. So yeah, guys, that's been another cast from me, Force from Force Strategy Gaming. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for a strategy video later in the day. As always, guys, if you like our content, make sure you do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again, guys. Keep watching and keep owning. Yeah, so One ghost coming out of there, another ghost coming out of there. No more siege tanks as of this moment. Seeing some Psystorm coming out for White Raw, so going to be getting some High Templar in the near future as well. Also that War Prison, might be seeing some High Templar dropping, shall we? That'd be great. We haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in quite some time. That was fairly popular. That along with Lurker drops in the first StarCraft and Brood War, but don't see a lot of High Templar drops anymore, probably because Psystorm isn't nearly as effective as it used to be.